Okay, this is piece number 14. It's called The Statue of Votive Figures from the Square Temple of Eshnunna. It is from the Sumerian culture, which we just looked at with the ziggurat and white temple. And it is gypsum inlaid with shell and black limestone. So let's have a look a little closer here. There are two pieces. This one right here is ours. He's 2 feet 6 inches tall, and she is a little under 2 feet tall. Those are our two pieces. They are found together with these other 12 total buried in the temple in Eshnunna. Their form is that they're made of gypsum. If you have done any sheetrocking, that is gypsum. If you have any chalk, sidewalk chalk, that's gypsum. The males, which most of these are males, they have beards that have got like little ringlets on them. They have very formal hair design, and they have square shoulders. Look at those really broad shoulders, makes me want to sit up straight. And they have their hands held with their right over the left. And let's look a little more closely at that. In their hands, they seem to be holding something. It's a cup or a branch in each of their hands, which we know that the cups were used in their worship. Also with form on the woman, notice there are 2 little feet here. So there may have been a child, or maybe that represents a child. The clothing, both the male and the female wear clothing that's got some adornment on it. It's cone shaped, but you can see the bottom has been etched, and her clothing here has been etched. The woman's clothing has her with a bare shoulder here on her right side, and the man's shoulders are bare. More form. The most important of the very detailed beard and hair definitely are important. We can see that, but those eyes super stand out with their form. And if you look closely here, the white seems to be a shell, and the black seems to be a stone, a black limestone shell, or stone rock. And then their eyes are just wide open. So they definitely stand out. In terms of context, these statues of votive figures were found at the city-state of Eshnunna. We just looked at Uruk, our white temple, and ziggurat was found here at Uruk. And so this is another Sumerian city-state. It was actually captured by Hammurabi later, but Eshnunna looked like this. This is the archaeological excavated city from 2700 BCE. In the 1930s, the excavation started. In the 1950s and 60s, the New York Metropolitan Museum of Art funded the excavation, and one of the patterns of this excavation was that these museums or universities, they would get some of this art to put in their museums. So here's our guy here being discovered. As I said, buried in the floor of the temple. So the function of these pieces, you can probably guess, they are praying and watching for their God. They are representative of wealthy people who could have commissioned these pieces to stand in for the people in the temple. They are not, perfect representations of the individual people who had these commissioned, but they are representing those individuals. So they're waiting for the God, they're praying to the God, and that's why their eyes would be open. Then I want to kind of branch off to this for a minute, because in 2001 and 2003, the United States invaded Iraq, and we with our soldiers there and the fighting going on, there was a lot of disruption in Iraq. Thousands of items were taken out of their museums, and 8,000 of those items, as of last year that I made this, were still missing. And this artist, Michael Rakowitz, in 2007 started making art to call our attention to the tragedy. And so this is his representation of American soldier and some of the art, which looks like one of our votive figures. Here's a sample. This is the King Sargon II statue that was taken by robbers of the museum. And then Michael Rakowitz's examples of the votive figures that have been taken. He made them in newspaper and in food wrappings that were used in Iraq. So these are fairly common pieces of art in the Middle East, but they are definitely a significant part of the historical story of the Middle East. And of course, all of these art pieces are sought after to be wanting to be brought back and returned to the museum. So really cool art installation by Michael Rakowitz. And he, up until 2013, was doing this art. So sad, but amazing what Michael did. Okay,